I really love what you're doing with this concept. I loved it before, but like I think that the interview nature of it is really cool. And also you're a very good interviewer.
Can we take a minute and hype up just this concept? It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're wonderful as an interviewer.
The questions that you come up with, just the attention to those details, it's so much fun to do.
You tapped into it, and then now I think this formula is great.
I haven't really sat and remembered why I love this game so much.
We've been very happy to meet so many cool, creative, funny people on Twitch.
And this is the natural evolution.
What Sarah's doing is really cool. Yeah, I could talk to Sarah till the cows come home.
Not a lot of people on Twitch are just bringing on other creators just to interview them.
Thank you for having us.
Really, it's been a very healthy thing that you've kicked off in our lives.
When I saw the trailer for just what you're doing with the core memories concept, I mean, I hope you do this again.
This is a great idea. We can't wait to see the rest of core memories.
Having Cartoonia embrace me the way it did was huge.
What do you say, chat? More core memories?
Hello.
Everybody, welcome in Songbird TV.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh.
It's so nice to see you. As you guys may or may not know, we spent the last few days playing The Last of Us on my PS5, and I gotta say, revisiting it was awesome. Thank you so much for suggesting it.
Absolutely. So you said revisiting, so you've played it before.
I have, yes. It was one of the first things I played when I got a PlayStation.
That's amazing because I literally bought a PS4 to play The Last of Us. Like, that was why I bought it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So did you see like a trailer or something, or like what made you say like, "Ooh, I gotta buy a console"? Like $400 to play this game.
Right. So I was not a gamer growing up. I played The Sims. So I was totally a Sim gamer, but I wasn't a gamer. I wasn't allowed to have consoles. I wasn't, allowed to do anything outside of that because it was go if I think you're also, you live close to Nashville, but you're probably also from the South. So it's go outside and play in the dirt. You know what I mean? Yes, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And so I wasn't allowed to have consoles and blah, 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 whatever. And so the first game that I had a Wii, and I played Twilight Princess, but could never finish it.
Okay.
Because I was so bad at using the Wiimote controller.
That was rough. That was rough.
It was so rough. But so one day I finally got upset. I was fed up, and I was like, I'm gonna go and see how the game ends, because I couldn't stop thinking about it years later.
Yeah.
And so I went and a whole long weekend, watched through the entire gameplay of Twilight Princess. And so it was just stacked through a whole weekend. And so YouTube started recommending me videos about video games.
Yeah.
And so the first game that I saw, it was around when Fallout 4 came out. And so I started seeing Fallout 4 videos. And I got interested in lore. And then from there, I got to starting to watch Let's Plays and that kind of stuff. And so I saw Markiplier play God knows what, and started watching Markiplier, and I saw his playthrough of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And my real life name is Ellie. And so when I saw that, I was like, well, now I got to watch this. And then The Last of Us was the first game that I'd ever had an emotional reaction to. I didn't really know that games could be that emotionally evocative, I guess, because I had played so few at that point. And so I saw that, and I was like, I have to play this for myself. And so I bought a PS4 that Black Friday, and I got The Last of Us, and I got Fallout 4. Those were the two first games that I played on my PS4.
That is awesome. I feel like I hear that a lot about The Last of Us, is that it feels like that was kind of the general consensus, was it was one of the first games that people that didn't know anything about video games was like, oh, this is actually really good and impactful.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I mean, and it doesn't, it's like from the beginning, right? Like it's just right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It hooks you right in. Did you feel that way, or did it take some time to connect with you?
Oh, immediately. I am, my friends and I joke about me being a very melancholy person, and it's not a joke because it's true. So I love those games that are or media in general that's like sad or doesn't have a perfect ending, that kind of stuff. And so like Last of Us is very much that. it's very much I'm also a big fan of kind of like abandoned and just overgrown and you know that kind of stuff. So between the emotional aspect of The Last of Us and the setting of it, I was like, this is perfect.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really connect that, but you did. Like the first 2 games that you bought were both post-apocalyptic.
Yep. And I didn't put that together either, and for quite a while. And then I realized, you know, like other games I can't think of off the top of my head, but other games that I've played, I was like, oh yeah, I do seem to have a thing for the post-apocalypse. So I don't know what that says about me. I haven't talked to a therapist yet, but you know, we'll see.
You know, I think a lot of us kind of find catharsis in post-apocalypse stories, and I don't know, maybe it's a like morbid curiosity of what life would be like if all of this went away, or you know, maybe it's us like kind of playing out our anxieties through those things.
I think it's the only way that I'll see a post-apocalypse, because your girl's got food allergies and asthma, and I don't think I'm making it too long in the post-apocalypse. So I think this is my only shot.
You're gonna be able to run or hide or eat any of the food. Oh, that's such a bummer.
Yep. So let me go fight some zombies in The Last of Us, or you know, find stuff in Fallout. I'll be fine.
Yeah. Did you find the game hard, coming from like not a gaming background at all?
Yes, of course. I started on easy because I was trying. I wanted to experience the story, and that's something about me is I'm very much a story forward gamer.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Hollow Knight very briefly before this, and so going from something that is, you know, my preferred medium is story first, gameplay second.
Yeah.
So playing Hollow Knight, which is very much gameplay first and story second, was weird. But starting on easy, I was able to get into it enough, and I was curious enough to see what happened next, that I was like, I want to keep playing and I want to get good at this.
Yeah.
And so that was that was kind of how I got into it. And then I am very much a comfort gamer. So like if I find something that I love, like I've played New Vegas, God knows how many times. I played Fallout. I played The Last of Us and Part 2 many times each. And so it's like when I find a world that feels cozy or you know, whatever, then it's kind of like, oh, okay, I know this. And I love the world. I love the story. I love being immersed in it. So I'll play it multiple times over. So I did that, and that did culminate in me trying a grounded playthrough in 2023, which grounded mode is the hardest, where you have no HUD, you can't use your listening abilities, all that kind of stuff. So we got maybe halfway through the game. I haven't picked it up since maybe early 2024, but you know.
That sounds really tough, because like I don't know about you, but like for me, coming from like, I've been primarily like Xbox my whole life, so to me, like picking up the PlayStation controller and having to go like, wait, what do they need me to, the controls just feel off. Yeah, the controls feel off, and every time it says X, I kept wanting to hit the square button, which is on Xbox. Yeah.
It's so funny to me because the first console I got was a PlayStation, and so I got an Xbox Pro controller for streaming, and I love it, and it feels good, and it's fantastic. But I still get tripped up on when I'm getting a prompt like, which button is that? Because it's not the PlayStation stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy how ingrained that is, for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm so interested that you did a grounded playthrough, which is incredible. Gosh, that sounds so difficult.
It was definitely one of those things that we did over the course of several streams, and there was one section, the section after the hotel, when you get down to that little courtyard before you go through to the next part.
Yeah.
So when Joel gives Ellie the gun, that courtyard section
Yeah.
took me probably 3 hours
Wow.
to go through and route it. And it's again, we talked a bit about in Hollow Knight as well. I'm not the best gamer in the world, but I have, in my times of playing through this multiple times, I have kind of like figured out what are good routes.
Yeah.
But then it comes into figuring out, all right, how do I do this without, with basically being one-shot health, no listen mode for this. And so it was a fun challenge, and I do want to get back to it. My PS4 no longer works, and so I'd have to start from the beginning on PS5 and Grounded, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. You say that you're not a good gamer, but like I was fumbling around on easy mode. Like I died some pretty stupid deaths on easy mode. So
it's the initiation. It's just part of it.
Yeah. Did you find that a fun and worthwhile thing to stream then?
That's a complicated question because of who I am as a person.
Yeah.
I think everybody's heard about like the whole gifted kid trope or whatever. Like when you're the smart kid and like you have a hard time later on in life doing XYZ. Yeah. I was a gifted kid, and I'm very bad at being bad at things. So streaming is for me a way to push that, and to be actively bad at things in front of an audience of people, and to get myself more comfortable with it. And so Grounded mode was a test of that, very, very much. Yeah. That was really difficult, but that section in particular, and I stopped right before the section with the sniper because I was like, this is just gonna be miserable. So streaming in general is something that is pushes that boundary for me. Hollow Knight too. But streaming in general is a boundary for that. But I felt like a good way to push that boundary because I know the game so well, and I love the environment so much, and I love the story so much, and there are these moments or these bits that I could talk about and I could share with people in chat. Yeah. And have those to fall back on when it was like the 67th time I've tried to kill these guys, you know? So
That's incredible. I never thought about it that way, of like using streaming and using video games as a way to, it sounds like, get comfortable not being immediately good at something.
Yeah. It's also like it exposes me to that tolerance, but just playing other games that are someone's like, oh, you like this game, you should play this game, and so then I play a brand new that I don't know, which for the longest time when I was streaming, I would just play games that I knew pretty well. So, The Last of Us and Fallout New Vegas, and it was like, oh, I can share this with you, but I wasn't pushing myself. And so then, by way of doing that, I kind of have pushed myself further. And so Grounded was absolutely a test.
Yeah. Does it, so I imagine that is a little stressful, but it sounds like it feels good to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and try different games and different modes on those games.
For sure, absolutely. And I think that it's very easy to go through life and not challenge yourself, because it's obviously it's hard. Like that's what it is. But I am somebody that I try to, when I feel uncomfortable or I feel like if something makes me feel uncomfortable, I'm like, okay, this is important and I should address it. So whether that's having a tough conversation, whether that is playing a game on stream, whatever happens to be, if there's a way for me to kind of like make myself uncomfortable in a fairly controlled environment, I'm going to do it because it's just good for me. So
yeah, I like that too, because it's safe to fall back on, and you can, you don't have to be terrible at something that is life or death.
Exactly. And so it helps for and so like you get that practice of being uncomfortable. So when you're out there in those real life situations, when, if you suffer from anxiety, things like that, then you get that tolerance like just the practice, like you said, the practice of being tolerant when you're uncomfortable, and so you can take it into so many different like areas in your life.
I love that. I like to say that everything we do is practice. And
I love that. Yeah.
we just get good at what we practice on. And if that's, trying new things, that's still practice. If that's positive self-talk, that's practice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Heck yeah, man.
So this game really resonated with you as an experience. What would you say is the most? What was the most? Sorry, let me rephrase. Was there a moment in which you had where you were like, I think this is my favorite game?
I'm trying to think if there was like a pivotal, like specific moment. Because at that point, I had already watched, so much Fallout 4 lore and all that kind of stuff. And so I knew a lot about that. I knew a lot about New Vegas. But I think that for me, going through and seeing the depth of, like, just, and not that there wasn't tons of work put into New Vegas and stuff, but like, Last of Us is a much smaller experience, obviously, than New Vegas, and it's much more linear, and so it was much easier to go through and find secrets and like all the little stuff that's hidden in there that for you to find, and like to really take time to evaluate the environments and the stories that they tell through the environments. And I really do think that the thing that made me be like, wow, this is unlike any other game I've ever seen before, and one that I love, and probably the moment that is my favorite was when we were in the hotel and we go up to where Ellie helps Joel push the piano across the stage to get up to the top to leave. In that section where there's the photo booth and or the photo backdrop, and you see like the tables are in disarray, and there's like a banner hanging from the stage, and there's like music on the music stand, and you see chairs knocked over, and then you see like drag marks on the floor and blood and just like little stuff in this. It's very dark, but like there's stuff in the hotel, and there's little notes and things like that. It's just the way that they build the environment so well there that you can sit there and look at it and say, that is a whole story. I can see the chaos that happened here. I can see this person got dragged here. I can see this thing happened here, whatever. Seeing such an incredibly detailed environment and being able to read it so well, I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, it does. It really does seem very heavy on the environmental storytelling aspect of it, and everything feels very like placed. And I was marveling, this is the first time I've went through with headphones, and the sound design is incredible. Was completely lost on me when I was just playing it on my old TV. But the sound design is just incredible. The voice acting is incredible. I feel like it was one of the first games that like really took its voice acting kind of seriously.
Yeah. And oh my God, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, like I watched every bit of behind the scenes stuff that I could, watching them doing filming and making of the game and like all of that stuff. And I could talk about Gustavo, who did the soundtrack. I could talk about him forever. He's a fucking genius. But it's watching them actually do the acting for the mocap for what they do, and then seeing how they translated that to the characters. They did such a good job. Like, it's the little facial expressions, especially on, did you get the part 1 remaster or the part 1 for PlayStation 5 or?
Yeah, I got part 1 for PlayStation 5, but then there's also a remaster version. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, the remaster is the one that I played first, and that's the one that was remastered for PS4, and then part 1 is the one that was made for PS5. So that's the one that really gives you like I would say the most fidelity to what the actual actors did with every little bit of their face. And not that remasters wasn't good, because it was fantastic, but part 1 they really were able to kind of go back in there and rework those little things.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Yeah, and so you, in my opinion, you got the best experience to come back to, because you got to see all that little nuance that's in there. So yeah, they're incredible, and they did such a good job.
And speaking of the music, the music obviously is fantastic. Gustavo is it's so beautiful, but also the timing, the pacing, it's all so. I don't know. They really it definitely feels like lightning in a bottle. I haven't played part 2, but it really does feel like it's just so tuned in. It's just so tuned in.
It is, and I think that it's the length of it, because you said you were able to get through it in 2 days, so like the length of it is not too bad.
I gotta be honest, we didn't get very far.
It's okay.
We did the Bill part and got past that.
I love Bill's Town. Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good. But no, I mean it is a much, part 2 is I think 26 to 30 hours for a recommended playthrough for part 2, so it's a bigger chunk.
Yeah.
But part 1 is, they use all of the time that they had really well. It doesn't feel like any of it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing on Grounded, then you're like, all this is unnecessary and this is hard.
Why am I doing this to myself?
Exactly. But they every section they go through has a reason in the story and for the characters, and I think that that's the biggest difference between that and other games that you may play.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit as far as like other games? Do you feel like there is a lot of like kind of fluff and filler where there's lacking in maybe The Last of Us?
I can't think of a game off the top of my head where I'm like, oh, this one is full of like stuff that's unnecessary, but I know that there have been times I've played games and I've been like, not having a bad time at all, but it's just one of those things where I look back on the story or I look back on the experience and I'm like, I don't think I needed that, really.
Right,
To add, it didn't add anything for me. But for me and for The Last of Us, getting to see Ellie getting to leave the quarantine zone for the first time.
Yeah.
Seeing her interacting with Bill, Bill himself is fantastic and informs more about that world. And then going from there and going forward into Pittsburgh and seeing how Ellie and Joel fight the smugglers, and then seeing how different it is with Henry and Sam, and like all of these things. Every character that comes into the story means something, or adds to a backstory for a character. So like with Tess, rest in peace, Andy Wershing, she was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like with Tess, you get a good idea about her and Joel, again, through the subtle moments that we have. So the conversation in the Goldstone building when Tess is like, or Joel's like, oh, maybe we should go settle down. She's like, yeah, you said it before, but you're always the one that says no. And he's like, well, maybe I'll consider it this time. And it's one of those things of like, wow, they've got a real history. And so every single character that comes in has a reason to be there. And I just, again, going from the emotional kind of driven place that I view games, it makes more sense for me, because like I don't just want another arena where I can sit there and shoot bad guys. Like I would rather have a story from somebody,
Yeah, I was thinking about that a lot during this playthrough. And I don't know if this game would be received as well if it came out today.
How do you mean?
I feel like a lot of the games that are made now are made for sustainability and to play it over months and years. And we have season 2, we have season 3, and I feel like while it would probably be like still a pretty big game and really fun, like we've seen the same with like God of War, which again was like almost 5 years ago now. 2016.
Yeah.
So almost 10 years ago.
Almost 10 years ago. Oh, I'm getting old. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So like, I feel like a lot of games are like games as a service, games as like, hey, buy this DLC, buy this. I don't know if this would have been taken as well as it was now.
I do wonder if it would have been like, because Clair Obscur came out and just blew everybody's mind.
Yeah.
But it is an entirely different style of game. It's a very emotional game. Have you played it?
I have. So I just bought it, but I don't
Yes.
have time to play anything else but
Yeah.
core memory games right now.
Yeah. That's totally fair. You will it's worth waiting for, I promise.
Yeah.
But it's, I think that there are I do agree with you. I think that it would probably have picked up with like not an indie scene or an indie crowd, but like I don't know if it would have been the cultural sensation that it was
Yeah.
when it came out in 2013 if
Well,
it
and-
came out in 2025.
And I don't know if it's just like me being busier or me just being like more, like screen oriented and just kind of like plugged in. But I gotta admit, even I had a hard time with the slow build up of it, and was getting impatient of like, where do I go? Why don't I know? Why don't they have a compass?
Yeah.
And maybe that has to do with me streaming and feeling like I have to like you said, be good, put on a show. But
Yeah,
there were,
I think that's probably part of it though.
yeah, that's fair. There were moments in which I was just like running from one end of the room to the other, not figuring out where to go and getting frustrated because it didn't tell me, hey, duck under that, that building or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that, and I think it's a fair thing. It's funny because there are a lot of people that are big fans of like Metroidvanias or Souls games and things like that, and so they're very much like don't hold your hand.
Yeah.
And I love a handhold. Gimme a handhold any day of the week, 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Like if you want to throw some yellow paint down, awesome. Sounds good to me.
The yellow paint helps, I swear.
Right.
I know some people get really upset about the yellow paint, but I'm here for it. It's fine.
Me too. For sure.
I think there's a good balance in between like never knowing where you're going and like having to like, I had to walk around this entire place to find, a wall that would crack, and that's how you know what I mean?
Right.
That's how you progress versus like, no, here's very clear the way to go. Again, it's nice to slow down sometimes though.
It is, and I think it's that's again a thing I have to practice is slowing down. Whether it's I'm very much a skimmer when I read,
Yes.
and so I have to like make sure that I talk myself out of that and say no. So go back, read from the beginning, slow down, and so like that's I think in this world that we live in, right, in society, whatever, it is becoming a lost art, slowing down. And so I think that whether you're making tea like you did, or if you're cooking, or if you're playing a video game and you're taking your time and you're exploring, I think there's so many benefits to slowing down. And I forget about that all the time. And so finding a game or anything that can make me be like, oh yeah, it's really good to do this.
Yeah.
Love it. Even better.
We talked a little bit yesterday on Discord about how we both work from home.
Yes.
And do you, as obviously I work from home as well. Do you find it hard to stop productivity even when you're not working?
No.
No?
No, I don't. And I personally think that's my own relationship to my current job. But I think that I am maybe the weirdo out of my friends in that I've never necessarily had a hard time stopping work or productivity. But if you get me started on a book, I will read it until my eyes dry out and it's 5:30 in the morning.
Yes.
And I have work at 7. Like that's 100% me.
And
Games too.
That's kind of the way I'm kind of experiencing it, is like I will sit here and I will go like, okay, I've got an hour. Let's read a chapter. Let's watch a show. Oh, I got to finish this show. I got to finish that show. And then not taking the time to actually appreciate what I'm enjoying because I'm thinking about either finishing it or moving on to the next thing.
Yep, I feel that.
And how that relates, I guess, to the Last of Us was I did find myself just kind of running through because I was like, well, I want to get through as much of this game as I can on stream without really even taking in the environments the way I should have.
Yeah. And I think that's I do think that, the conversation we had about streaming is kind of interwoven into a lot of stuff that I think about video games, because I know that my experience streaming video games versus playing video games for myself is two very different experiences. And there are so many good things about playing games on stream. Like I played Hollow Knight on stream. I played Alan Wake, and I played Control on stream. And some of the fantastic things are when I get frustrated, I can talk to my friends and be like, help me, and they can handle them we were talking about. But you can also share and the cool things that we see. But then when you're doing it, you're also looking at the chat. You're trying to keep up. There's sound alerts that are happening in pivotal moments on screen, and you're like, ugh. And so it's a management thing. And then you're also like not really free to kind of like take the time that you need to digest and understand all of the nuances of stuff, because you're worried it's good content. Do people care like I do? Because I am 100% gonna scour every corner of everything that I can to find all the stuff, because I love that. I love the story that I can find. And sometimes chat doesn't care. And so it's kind of like, all right, well, it's my stream, so.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm really in awe of you to be able to go like, well, this is my thing still. I'm the streamer. This is my show. Whereas,
it's hard. Like, it's hard to do that but I think that I feel very lucky, and like, shout out to my friends that come hang out when I stream. I feel very lucky in that there are a lot of people there that are like-minded to me.
Yeah.
And who don't mind taking their time. Yeah. But they also are just kind of like, they're going to cause shenanigans, but they just kind of want to be there to have a good time. And they know that if I'm having a good time, then it's going to be easier for everybody to have a good time, just because that's how it works. And so I feel incredibly, incredibly grateful. But I think that I struggle with that too. Like when I was playing Grounded, I was like, okay, I don't need to go through and find everything, because I'm already taking too long with these encounters and stuff like that. So I can't go look at my favorite stuff because I'm already taking too long. So I can totally get that. But I do think that we were talking about playing on stream versus not. And so I think that taking the break that I am right now from streaming is reminding me, like, oh yeah, it's really cool to play games off stream, actually.
It's nice.
Yeah,
it's really fun. That's why I bought a Steam Deck, so I can just sit around and play and be somewhere that's not my office for once.
Right. Yep.
I really enjoyed the times that I got to catch you playing Final Fantasy VII on stream.
Oh man, yeah.
And it was really cool setup where it was you playing and your friend who seemed to be like, an expert in the game.
Yeah.
Kind of like providing context and guiding you through, but in a way that wasn't like spoilerific, or a way that wasn't like kind of talking down to you or chat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that friend was. I don't remember the name, but like that was a fantastic setup. I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's my friend Danny. She has played Final Fantasy VII. I mean, probably as much as I've played The Last of Us, and so we were talking. This was summer of 2023, and I was saying something about New Vegas, and then she's like, "I've never played a game like that before," and I was like, "Do you want to play?" And she was like, "I mean, yeah, I just don't know what to do." And I'm like, "Well, I could be on Discord with you and like help you through it." And so she streamed her playing Fallout New Vegas with me being that voice on your shoulder telling you where to go.
Very cool.
And then when she was done with that, she was like, okay, cool. You're going to play Final Fantasy VII now. And I'm like, all right. Because I've never played a game like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And so we had to stop because she just had my newest godchild
Oh my
back
goodness.
in June. So we stopped for that. And then I've not been streaming. So we're taking a break for that. But so when things calm down for her and for me, then we will resume Final Fantasy VII nights. Because she's very good at looking stuff up and guiding me through.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting game. It's very different than anything I've ever played.
Yes, it's a very old game.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Yeah. So getting back to the Last of Us and how you're a big fan, have you seen the TV show? Have you seen the HBO show?
I have seen the TV show. I have a Last of Us tattoo. I've got posters that are up. I've got figurine.
My goodness.
Yeah, I am a fan, and I have the DVDs of the TV show in the other room.
Oh, fantastic. So you like
Have you
the
seen
TV
the
show?
TV show? I have feelings. Have you seen the TV show?
I've seen the first season. I didn't watch the second season.
Okay. Well, first season is fantastic.
Yeah.
They followed the game pretty much to a T. The changes that they made sense to me.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but they don't have spores in the TV show.
Right.
They just have the I can't remember what they're called, but the little tendrils that run underground.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Mushrooms do that in real life. Like, that makes sense to me, and I understand that when you're not that the barrier, I guess, of spores makes less sense in a practical purpose than it does in a video game.
Yeah.
So I understand them cutting that out. But everything else, like, they did a really good job of doing little nods to so like Ishmael's story in the sewers that you see with Henry and Sam. You don't see that story, you don't find those notes. You don't see much in the sewers because they aren't in the sewers in the TV show. But you still see the drawing from the kid that was in the game. They put that in the show. And so it's one of those moments of like, oh, y'all did, like, there's like little nods of stuff, but they followed the game super, super well. And I was very pleased by the first season.
Yeah.
Very pleased.
Even we had a whole Bill episode to just flesh out his character, right?
Oh my God. That is one of the most stunning pieces of media I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, it was really good.
They did so, and like I love, and again, the changes that they made, or like the context they gave of Bill and Frank in that episode. I loved the changes they made, and I loved how they characterized both of those characters.
Yeah.
Woo, I cry every time.
Yeah, it was very good and very like respectfully done, I would say.
For sure.
I felt the same way about season 2 as I did part 2. And maybe this is on me, but I got through the first game and I got through season 1 and I was like, there doesn't need to be any more. The story was told, and I feel like it came to a really good, if not like it had a really good ending. I think the ending for it was perfect. The ambiguity of it all. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, and maybe I need to give part 2 a try.
So I will say that part 2 is one of the most diversive games that I know about.
Yeah.
There are people who have a lot of opinions about part 2. I personally really love part 2. I appreciate and understand why part 2 was made, and I'm trying to be as neutral as possible about part 2 and not give any spoilers, number one, or like any influence anybody in any kind of way.
Well, I know a little bit about it. I've seen a few videos on it. I watched specifically Nakey Jakey's video on it a few times.
Yes. I personally feel like I understand if people don't like it. I understand if people don't think there's a need for it. I understand if people love it. I personally love it, and I think that what we get to explore in part 2 is not necessary to the core of the core, get it, core memories, to the core of The Last of Us as a story. or to the story of love that was told in part 1, because that, you know, the Neil Druckmann's very famously said that part 1's a story about love and part 2 is a story about hate. And I don't think that you have to play or watch the second part to love the franchise and love the characters in the story. I have a good friend that has played part 1, but she is very squeamish with horror stuff, and so she doesn't really think she can get through part 2. And so she was like, she had some questions about how I felt about it, and then she had, you know, she knows what happens in part 2, and so she's like, can you tell me why you love it so much? And so I literally, bless her heart, wrote her a 4-page Google Doc.
That's amazing.
Answering the questions that she had, and then kind of like going on like my own little diatribe at the end.
Yeah.
And the conclusion that she came to was that she doesn't really need to play part 2.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
When we had the conversation that we did. Yeah, that's that, because it's like 30 hours of work, right? And like, it's not necessarily easy. It's the game. I will say the gameplay in part 2, if you are a gameplay driven person, the gameplay in part 2 feels really nice.
Okay, yeah.
It's good. The story is the divisive part. The gameplay is not. The gameplay is great.
Yeah.
The divisive part is the story. But I think there is the way it was presented and the story itself, for me, gave me some closure and some things that were that I wanted out of part 1 that I didn't get. And again, I am someone that I like to put myself into places where I feel uncomfortable or things that are maybe difficult to do. And so part 2 was another good exercise in that. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I think it's like, I like what you said that, you know, the first game was about love and the second was about hate. I feel like sometimes it's important to kind of look that in the face and kind of come face to face with that, and maybe ask yourself a few questions about your life and how you want to live.
Yep.
I think maybe if all we ever experience are stories about, you know, hope, love, and everybody makes it out okay at the end, I feel like we may run the risk of expecting that in our everyday lives and not being prepared when, you know, the Disney movie doesn't play out in our real life, you know? Yeah.
And one of my best friend, it does not like The Last of Us Part 2. Hates it, trash talks it, like she does not like it.
Okay.
And so we have conversations about it, and like we're both like, you know, we joke with each other, about whatever. But her one point that she makes is, real life is already shitty enough. Like, why do I want to have not a happy ending, or why is it not tied up in a bow? I get that. Real life is shitty. Like, shitty things come for us all. Marge is right. But it's like, there's something that is satisfying, may not be the right word, but kind of nice about navigating a difficult or shitty story or situation in a controlled environment. Again, going back to what we talked about in streaming, removing yourself from it and being able to put yourself in that place of discomfort. So when you face those uncomfortable or hard things in your real life, sure, you're not going to have like a controller where you can like go and do whatever, but you are still putting yourself like in a better position to handle and navigate these hard things that come up. In my opinion, I think that it's good for that. Again, it's all practice, like you said.
Everything is practice. Yeah, I love that. I think, you know, I think that a lot of people had certain expectations about how they wanted part 2 to go, or maybe how they really expected, what they kind of expected it to be. And then maybe if it didn't meet those, it's hard because we live in a hype culture, you know, where games, media, whatever is talked about for years and years and years. and it gets built up to be this like thing, and if it's not everything that I expected in my life or in my mind, then it's trash and deserves to be trashed, and that's kind of a bummer.
Right. It is a bummer, and I think that it's it's something that we're not going to talk about, but like with politics and echo chambers and like how easy it is for social media to put us in a place where we only ever hear things that we want to hear. Being able to engage in and critically review media, whether that's a video game or a book or a show or whatever, being able to take that in and say, cool, that wasn't for me, and move on.
Right,
not have to shit post and review bomb and do whatever. Like, it's okay not to like a thing, and it's okay to have a conversation with somebody that doesn't like the thing if you like it. Like, again, my best friend, that's part of, we've done that for the last 5 years of having these conversations of like, well, I feel it's important this way. Well, I feel like it's trash. And but it's good. It's good for us. And again, not just in video games, but in everything. I think that it's critical for us to be able to engage with stuff that we don't like.
Yeah.
And
I remember,
and have like go ahead.
I was saying that I remember recently I was watching a YouTube video just while I was working and stuff, and it was a video about a game that I played, and the person was telling me, or the person was talking about this aspect of the game and this and how they felt about it, and I agreed with everything of it, everything that person was saying, and halfway through it I was like, what am I doing? Like, why did I search this up? I've spent time in it just to like hear somebody echo the thoughts that like the feelings that I feel about the game.
Validation.
Yeah, and who needs that? Who needs
I mean,
that?
me. I sometimes,
But I think
validation is nice.
That's true, but I think more to the point that like it's so easy to like all I've ever heard about part 2 is that it's bad, the story's bad, it shouldn't have been made, etc., and like I haven't played it. I don't have that same opinion, but I sure do have a lot of people in my ear saying that that's the case.
Yeah. Well, here's one person telling you that I'm really glad it was made. And I genuinely think that if you're willing to go on the journey that Naughty Dog is trying to take you on, I think it can be an incredible experience. And gameplay is great. The settings, oh my god, the settings in The Last of Us Part 2, like the locations are gorgeous, and like, it's so good. If you like rain, oh my god, you're gonna love Last of Us Part 2.
Well, and I'd love to say that every work of art is divisive in some way, and it is really nice to get a game that's not just CEOs and corporations saying like, here, this is what will make the most money, so this is the decision we're making, this is the story we're telling, versus they probably at some point knew that the story was going to be divisive when spoiler alert happened, but
right,
I think that's there's something to be said about wanting that story to be told.
Yeah, for sure. And I understand people being upset or frustrated by the story not going the way that they want it to go, because it's not a story that has a pretty bow. But I think that they told a story that's true to the world that they built, because stories with pretty bows don't exist in the world of The Last of Us.
Do you find yourself being drawn to stories like that?
100%, absolutely. One of my favorite movies is a movie called Like Crazy, with Anton Yelchin and Felicity Jones, and it's got a fairly ambiguous ending as well, where it's like you would think it's a happy ending
Yeah.
based on like if I were to say, oh, here's what happens, and you'd be like, okay, cool, well, that's good, right? And then you watch the actors portray the thing that happens, and you're like, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. And I think that's a really interesting, like a bittersweet, like just really cool thing. And
Yeah.
I think that it's fun.
Nothing really hits like I got everything I wanted and I'm miserable.
Yeah,
It-
yeah, because it's just, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I am a. I like to say that I'm kind of a glutton for punishment because one of my favorite shows is BoJack Horseman.
I've never seen it. I'm sorry.
Oh boy!
I know,
Well, no.
I need to see it.
It's. I mean, it's one of those where, like, on the surface, you'll see the trailers. I don't think they did a really good job marketing it because you see it and you're like, oh, it's like a Family Guy type show. It's not.
Mhm.
It's very much a like. Ooh, it's a trip. It's an emotional trip.
Yeah.
I'll say that. With animal puns.
Right, and like that's what I've seen, and that's why I want to watch it, because I know that I know that it addresses some really, really deep and dark stuff,
Yeah.
but it does so through a lens of like humor and kind of dark humor, which is my jam. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfect. So I want to watch BoJack at some point.
Do you feel like through different mediums you can go a little darker? Like
Oh, 100%.
like BoJack can go into some pretty sorry, I don't know what's going on with my mic, guys. Can you guys hear me? Check. Where was I? Oh, with BoJack it can go into some pretty like dark and traumatizing topics, and The Last of Us can get really like into like the world of violence.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's something that kind of lends to the medium?
100%. I think that because again, like we're all kind of looking for an escape from real life, right? Because it's not fun a lot of the time, but in I think that there are certain mediums that can do that well. I personally resonate really well with like dark humor, which I think that Fallout does that well. For an example of a game, Fallout has really dark humor. Did you watch the show when it came out?
I did. I loved it.
I did too, and I loved that they kept that really, really dark humor
Yeah.
that comes through in the game, and they did it so well in the show. So that was really exciting.
I felt like when I heard about it, I was like, "Who's that for? It's gonna be awful." Like video game adaptations are not good, and I was very pleasantly surprised at how
Same.
it was really true to the series. I mean, just it was like it was serious, it was somber, and it was wacky.
Yeah.
And fun.
And
yeah.
And that's Fallout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is a very wacky game, where you're murderizing people and collecting bobbleheads,
Exactly. And I think that not everyone responds well to that, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do think that everyone has their medium for how they can kind of get a little bit deeper. But I do think that exploring darker themes through art, whatever that is, whether it's a TV show or a video game or a painting or a song or whatever, it's very human.
Yeah.
And I think that almost every person is going to have a form of art that's going to speak to them.
Yeah.
And I think video games are just another one of those.
I think that like for like gore and things of that nature, it needs to have a purpose.
100%.
It needs. One of my favorite series is Chainsaw Man. I don't know if you're a big anime person or manga person.
I've seen one episode of Chainsaw Man years ago.
Yeah. I have all the volumes. I've caught up on the manga. But Chainsaw Man is one of those where it has a large amount of gore and a large amount of like sexual situations on the point of like almost perversion.
Right.
But there's a point, and I try to tell people like, please just try it, stick with it. I know there are moments, but I promise you there is a larger story that's being told with those moments, and I feel like The Last of Us really utilizes those very well. Those moments of like not horror, but like just violent desperation.
Yes, that's a really good way to put it. The violent desperation, and I think that that's the part that we living in America in this world don't necessarily haven't experienced that kind of violent desperation. And I think that they express it really well, and I think that the game does a really good job of showing that to you. And I think that it can be really hard because like there's a section in the hotel where Ellie and Joel climb up a section from like the main where you start. They climb up a section, and you see a couple that's in a bathtub. And you see, I think Ellie's like, oh well, they took the easy way out, and Joel's like, trust me, it's not easy.
Right.
And so from that line, you know where Joel has been and where he's come back from.
Yeah.
And so they do such a good job with those little subtle scripted lines of, and again, the actors for portraying that so well. Oh my God, like incredible. But they do a really good job of showing how hard it is to survive in that world.
Yeah.
Whether you're fighting against other people or yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that, and part 2 is, I will say, a lot more, and the word that Neil Druckmann himself uses a lot is like grounded. And so that means that the deaths in part 2 are a lot more visceral, and they don't really shy away from like when Ellie is ganking somebody, like it's rough. It's part 2 is harder for me to play than part 1.
People instead of just zombies too, is from what I understand.
Yeah, there's a lot more people, and it is harder to. The sound design is fantastic in like the worst way.
Yeah, so you're like, oh God, is that really what it sounds like? Oh, I shouldn't be hearing this.
Yeah, it's rough. But I think that, and again, I think that that's on purpose. Like you were saying with Chainsaw Man, like it's on purpose that it's so gritty and horrific, because the other thing that they talk about is not only is it a story of hate, but it's talking about the cycle of violence. And how the cycle never gets anybody anywhere. You're just going through this continuous cycle over and over again. And so I think that the level of violence and gore that you see in part 2 only speaks further to that. And I don't know. I think again, it's just done in a really good way.
Yeah, I like what you said about subtlety in the writing. I feel like the writing is done so. We've talked about the environment. We've talked about the sound design. We haven't really talked about the dialogue and the writing. It is done in such a way that you're right. Like they don't have Joel say like, well, this is what I experienced and this is why I feel this way. You as the player are really left to like infer, you know, what it is he's talking about. And I think between the writing and the voice acting, you know, the voice acting being so vivid and visceral, like those two are just absolute goats, because you feel every bit of it, you know, in their dialogue.
Yes, you really do. And there's, you know, the behind the scenes on this, because and again, I watched all of it because I'm a nerd, but there's the behind the scenes on this in the section when they're in the house later on, and Joel is essentially talking to Ellie and trying to be like, okay, well, I'm going to give you to Tommy and Tommy's going to take you to the Fireflies, and that's it, you know, because it's gotten too hard for him, because he's come to care for her like he cared for, just starting to care for like he cared for Sarah, and so like that's too much for him. And so when they were talking about when they were doing that scene and they were having a really hard time with it, with getting the emotion right and kind of like feeling whatever, And so there's one take where Ashley like used that emotion, the frustration she felt at not getting the scene, and she used it when she was talking as Ellie to Joel, and she shoves him and she's like, everybody fucking except for you.
Yeah.
And like actually gets that emotion out and like that feeling, and like the way her voice breaks on, so don't you dare tell me like that I'd be better off because I'd just be more scared. Like the way that she was able to deliver that line after like just fucking, you know, using the physicality of the emotion she was experiencing as a person, putting it into her acting, phenomenal. Oh God.
Truly. And I'm really impressed at just the depth of emotion that they're able to portray just with their voices. And Ashley Johnson, I don't know how she like got her voice to sound like an actual like 14-year-old. You know what I mean? Like how did you do that?
It's incredible, man. Like my hats are off to anybody that does voice acting, because like it's just, and because did you play The Medium?
I haven't.
By Bloober?
No.
Troy Baker is in The Medium.
Okay.
And if you ever get a chance to play The Medium, I want you to try and see if you can figure out what character he is.
Okay, I'll put it
That's all
on
I'll
my
say.
list. I'll put it on my list. I love it.
I enjoyed it a lot. The atmosphere is really. You did March. It's really good. Sorry, I'm so used to reading chat.
No, you're fine.
But it's I really enjoyed the game. I thought that the mechanics were cool, all that kind of stuff. So if you ever get to play it, I want you to see if you can pick him out. But they really are masters of their craft, and I think that it also goes back to having a really good story that was from, inspired by I think The Road and a couple other things. And there's like a little nod to, I think it's The Road. There's a little nod to that in part 2. One of the characters is, you see that they're reading The Road that helped inspire the whole series.
Oh, that's
so
beautiful.
I
gotta say, I keep, if I asked you what like your moment was that like really cemented this game as a beautiful masterpiece to you, and I think the thing that keeps coming back to in my mind is the moment in which I don't remember where exactly it is, but you like put up a ladder as you do for Ellie so she can climb or whatever, or no, you hoist her up and then she just runs off. And that like, I felt actual panic for this like character, you know, that has been with me every step of the way, and then all of a sudden she was gone and not answering. And I was like, okay, this game is really good at making me feel exactly what it wants me to feel. And then, you know, it all works out in the end, obviously, but
what I love about that section is they subvert your expectations twice in that scene. It's the bus station toward the end of the game, and you go over and you see the triangle prompt where you're supposed to, you know, boost Ellie up, and you press the triangle prompt and Ellie doesn't get up.
No.
And I think the camera auto pans maybe.
Yeah.
But you turn around and you're like, Ellie, hello, and like you have to get her out of her reverie, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, you know, whatever. And so then you boost her up finally, and she gets the ladder halfway down, and then she drops it, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So you have those two expectation subversions, which as a gamer, like that's so fun. Like, good job, guys.
And I would like to add on a third, because you're rushing to her like, okay, something's wrong. She's getting attacked.
Yeah.
And then you find the giraffes, I think is that scene, right? Where she's just marveling at the giraffes. And there's all these really sweet moments in between all the gore and carnage and sorrow and horror. Where like even last night when Ellie is talking about I've never walked through the woods. You know, I've never taken a walk in the woods, and I don't know. I think there's something really sweet that Joel didn't turn around and say like, well, this ain't no walk in the woods. This ain't, you need to be on it. But he just kind of let that moment linger, let that moment happen for her. And like, I don't know, man, that's, as a child, I didn't get those moments very often myself. So it's really cool to see like, it's really cool to see this like big masculine and let's be honest, like violent figure have the intelligence enough to do that.
For sure. And I think that just like I have so many thoughts about Joel as a character and how Ellie kind of like affected him immediately. I think that for a long time Joel was very much like never think about he kept his watch, right? So like he's kept his watch this whole time. So he clearly still has that to remember Sarah. But I think that thinking about Sarah was so hard for him. And I think that it was very much like macho man, masculine, violent, that kind of thing, like you were saying, to kind of like, not to help him forget, but to maybe be a different person. And I think that he couldn't help, but when Ellie came around, he was trying really hard to do that.
Yeah.
And he does okay. But you see him in that section and Tess catches him. And in the first part, when you put the plank across and you start walking down to go to the Capitol, you see him look at his watch. And I think that that's the first moment. And I don't think it's, anything that he is thinking about actively, but I think that that's the first moment that like Ellie kind of like cracks that wall for him.
Yeah.
And I think that he is actively fighting that for so much of the game, but I think he can't help himself but to let her be a kid.
Yeah.
Like, because she's never been outside the quarantine zone. And I think that it's one of those things that he knows that, but I also still think there's part of him that's like, that's fucking insane. Like that's crazy.
Well, I think that's another example and a great point of like, again, the subtlety of it, because like he never says, I carry this watch because it's the last thing my daughter gave me. He looks at it sometimes. Ellie points it out once, and that's it. That's all you get. And like that's for you to pick up. And if you didn't pick it up, that's fine. But it was there.
It's my I can show you my tattoo if you want to. It's got parts of part 1 and part 2 in it.
I would love to see it if you're comfortable with that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna take my headphones off, so like if I don't respond to you talking to me, it's because I can't hear you.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can show you.
Oh, that is so cool.
So it's an astronaut helmet that's got mushrooms, obviously, and then ivy. And then the face of it is broken in the same pattern that Joel's watch face is broken.
Oh, that is wow.
And it's still not done yet. That's just the outline. But
that is insane. That is detail oriented, and if I may, incredibly tasteful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because like there's nobody would know. It's one of those like if you know, you know. But if you don't know, it's just a beautiful tattoo. I knew somebody who has Setsuya. I can't remember what the full title of the game is, but they had like the portrait of the character on their back, like full portrait of the full character, video game character.
Wow.
And I was like, that's dedication. But it's not subtle, right? And I love that your tattoo is like a subtle nod to it. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, like, that's perfect. It's still a beautiful tattoo. Oh man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I wanted something that was like, because for me, this is more than about like just The Last of Us as a game. It's about like Ellie and Joel's relationship and stuff. And because my name is Ellie and Joel reminded me of my dad, that I lost my dad back in 2021.
I'm really sorry.
Thank you. It's all good. But it's one of those things of like, that's part of why part 2 gave me stuff that I needed from that. Was I needed these things that kind of happened in part 2 to kind of go along with that, because of my own ties to, or how I relate to the story. And so that's why I wanted it to be, not that Ellie's tattoo, there's anything wrong with it, because it's fantastic. It's really cool. One of my friends cross-stitched it for me. You can't see me, see it's back there. She cross-stitched it for me. It's fucking cool. But I wanted something that was more meaningful, more personal for me. And I feel like my ex that did it, who's a tattoo artist, we came up with it together. And I think it's a really, really cool nod, because even like people that have played The Last of Us don't always pick up on it.
Yeah,
and so
I wouldn't
it's fun.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah,
I would have been
fun.
like, oh, that's a really cool. You like mushrooms and space?
You like mushrooms in space? Cool.
Yeah. I do the same thing. I get a tattoo every time I complete a D&D campaign. And so like, I've got like, only me and like 5 other people will know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
But to everybody else, it's like, oh, cool, bees. You know?
Do you make honey? Yeah, like that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude must really love honey. Well, I gotta say, this has been a fantastic time, fantastic interview. You are very obviously very passionate about the game, but also very insightful about this game and then some about seemingly a lot of aspects in your life.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's really fun that we did this today because September 26th is actually the initial outbreak day. So in the game, when it kind of reached its peak capacity in the world of The Last of Us was September 26th, 2013, and so that's tomorrow. So like
today's our last normal day.
Today's our last normal day. So I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah. I know. Don't eat
eat
any bread, I guess.
Yeah, no flour for any of us. And if somebody is screaming, then maybe like close the door.
Yeah.
But no, this has been really fun. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've just got one other question for you.
Yeah.
How do we like Pedro Pascal as Joel?
Oh my God. I love him. First of all, I love him. Second of all, I think that he did a really good job portraying Joel. I think that he has the vulnerability that Joel has and fights so hard to cover.
Yeah.
I think that Pedro probably shows it more, and that may be because of the medium, and maybe because it is a movie versus a video game.
Yeah.
But I think that I could not imagine anybody else portraying that level of vulnerability that Joel has to have to be as big and strong and violent as he is to cover it up, and then to be as open and expressive and all of the good things that he is with Ellie at the end of season 1.
I think I totally agree. I think Pedro Pascal has really keyed in on like what you said, like vulnerability, but I would say like even like a very like healthy practice of masculinity.
Oh my God, yes. As far as like Pedro Pascal as a person, is, from everything that I have seen, he is like the healthiest version of masculinity I've ever seen in my life.
No.
And I'm just like, he's so good.
And even all of his characters, like I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones person, but like Oberyn Martell, like he was just so fantastic and very like, again, like he was like this like bisexual prince, and you would and you would assume that meant like, oh, he would be kind of like, you know, kind of, you know, not, he wouldn't be a strong fighter. He wouldn't be a strong fighter. Right. He wouldn't be a strong, you know, he might be a little spoiled because who's the last prince we saw? Well, it was Joffrey.
Right.
But just subverted that expectation completely.
And I think that is, I really think that a lot of actors can bring part of who they are to their role. And I think that I think it's such a huge undercurrent for who Pedro is as a person from everything that I've seen about him. Yeah. That like ability to be vulnerable, that I think he can't help but bring that to his characters. Yeah. And I think that he probably chooses his roles carefully and wisely to be able to capitalize on that.
Yeah. Margie and I were talking about it yesterday, though. Love him as much as we do. I need him to stop being in everything because I need a chance to miss him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Did you see, is it Eddington? Is that the one?
No, is he in something else too?
It's a movie that came out, and it's talking about like I think it's set in like in 2022 or something like that. So like COVID is actively happening, I think, at the time and the movie is set.
Yeah.
But it looks really interesting from what I've seen. Yeah. And I don't watch like Disney or anything like that. So like I've watched him in Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
Before that, the last thing that I saw him in was, I can't remember because I don't go to the movies either because I'm like a hermit.
I know, me too.
But yeah, no, I agree. He's having his moment. Have your moment, baby doll. But like,
make your money, but
go rest.
Yeah, let me miss you, please.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Fantastic Four. That's one of the reasons.
Oh, me neither. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, I will sit here and talk to you all night if you let me. So.
Hey, twist my arm, dude. This has been great. No, it's super fun. Thanks for having me.
Really
and
has.
Again, I love that you're doing this, and I love that you are so serious about it, and you you ask such good questions, and you take your time, and not only to get to know the source material of the game, but like to talk to the person too. And I think that that's a hallmark of a good interviewer. So good job, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm getting a little sick and tired of like ironic detachment, you know, and I really want to see people like fully loving a thing that they love and talking about a thing that they love instead of just being like, yeah, it's cool, I guess, you know.
Right.
So
yeah. I'm with you.
I so appreciate you coming on and being so open and vulnerable and like talking about a thing that you love. That's not always an easy ask.
Absolutely. Anytime. Listen, if you want to talk about Fallout, you let me know.
I'll hit you up for real.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye,
chat.
Bye, Songbird. And that was our interview with Songbird TV. We talked about practicing being kind of bad at things and how that is actually a good thing, about how everything is practice and how being vulnerable can often lead to growth. We talked about The Last of Us and the intentionality put into every detail of it and how much it means to Songbird. Make sure you're joining us next week when I sit down with Matthew Bevilacqua to play Monster Rancher 2. I'm very excited. I hope to see you there. And until then, get out there and make some memories.